I've been with my husband since his daughter Lena was 13. Being a step-parent is the hardest thing I've ever done. To put it very simply, Lena was never happy. She didn't want me to marry her dad, but I thought she would come around when she saw that he still loved her just as much. She was not a bad child, wasn't acting out, but literally nothing made her happy. She never smiled, never expressed any interest or enthusiasm about anything. Mother-in-law was extremely concerned about Lena, and kept demanding to know what we were doing to her. We had to set boundaries because mother-in-law was asking Lena completely inappropriate questions and implying we were doing something to her. Lena reacted badly to these boundaries and began acting out. It was such a mess, and I felt like such a failure, because no matter what we did, she was just not happy. Yes, she was in therapy, and we did family therapy. Lena moved out at 18 and was suddenly super happy, which just made us feel worse, and mother-in-law was convinced we did something to her. Mother-in-law has asked Lena multiple times, in front of other people, what we did to her. Lena denies that we did anything and says it just wasn't fair that she had to live with her dad's partner, and she couldn't relax with a stranger in the house. That really hurt because I tried to bond with her and her dad tried to maintain a relationship with her, but she was just so shut down. I recently found out that mother-in-law accusing me of hurting a child. She also blatantly tells people she hates me. When confronted, she cried about how hard it was on her to watch Lena like that and she knows we did something. I've wanted a baby with my husband for years and we finally welcomed a baby girl 3 months ago. Mother-in-law has been acting like it is just a given that she will meet her, but I decided that I don't want her to. I am too worried about having someone who hates me and makes these accusations in my life. My husband has backed me, but Lena uninvited him to her graduation dinner and said that, if I think I can use boundaries to bully people, then he can have fun with her new boundaries, and just never see her again. He is now very upset because Lena won't talk to him and is saying what's the harm in letting mother-in-law see the baby. Not the bad guy at all. I would not let your mother-in-law have any contact either. She is telling people you harm children. And your stepdaughter is saying your boundaries are to be mean to people? She is young, acting out because she thinks you are too. But you're an adult making an adult decision. It is one graduation dinner. Lena will regret it later in life, but you'll regret letting a toxic person in your new child's life. She's been calling you a child harmer for years. Time to cut her off. If you give in to Lena plus mother-in-law this once, then she will do it again. What's Lena going to demand next after mother-in-law meets the baby? I'm not talking to dad anymore until mother-in-law gets to babysit the baby overnight. Not the bad guy. Lena may not regret her choices, just to give you a warning on that, but OP is definitely not the bad guy here. Mother-in-law escalated to nefarious levels. She may not, true. Lena may be completely fine with her choice to cut off her dad. But she appears to be weaponizing it. My ex-wife Lucy and I have 3 kids, 16 female twins and 10 male. We divorced 9 years ago after the youngest was born because she came out as lesbian, no hard feelings. I married my now wife Julie 5 years ago after dating for 2. We have 2 kids, 4 male and 2 female. Julie was a common friend during our marriage and almost as soon as we started to date, Lucy confessed that she had been in love with my wife for several years now, and since Julie is straight and I formed a life with her, it stained our co-parenting and overall relationship. Now thanks to that, she has made it very difficult for me to have my kids during my breaks or on special occasions. If I want to do long holidays with them for a month or so, with some of our days trading, she says no. If I want to have them for my birthday, some random off days or my parents' birthdays, she says no. It's really difficult for me because I truly adore my kids and I want to spend as much time with them as I can. My wife and I have to travel to Europe around June for a month and a half to care for her mother. My plan was to take my kids during this time because her parents own a villa close to a small town that looks, just like my daughters would say, magical and medieval. I've been there twice, for a week or less, as an emergency trip, and it does look like something that would appear in Game of Thrones. I know my kids would love it. Julie's mother isn't bedridden, but we have to make sure she's okay at all times. This can mean being at the villa with her teaching us some of their family traditions, or touring the surrounding towns. And with the European train, I can take them to France, Italy, etc. As you can guess, Lucy said no and wasn't willing to discuss it further. I had to tell my kids that I can't take them and that maybe next time. I didn't mention or involve my ex-wife, and they became angry with me. I endured it as much as I could, but when my son asked if I preferred my new family over them, and if Julie doesn't like them anymore, it broke me, and I said that I asked their mother if we could trade custody days so they could come with me, and she said no. I explained that it would make me and Julie very happy if they could come, but that we can't go against their mother's wishes. She called me yesterday and called me a bad guy for turning the kids against them, because our son cried with her. She allowed me to take them and threw some passive-aggressive comments. But I'm confused. I don't think I turned them against them. They were confused and hurt, so I told them the truth. Am I the bad guy? Not the bad guy. She was using your kids out of anger. That's not cool. You can never go wrong with being honest with your kids. Time for her to start reflecting on her behavior. Not your problem. Agreed. The ex was perfectly happy to have their father be the bad guy. But now that she has to take the heat for her decision, she's upset. Not the bad guy all the way. Seriously. Makes you wonder how long those kids have been thinking their father was rejecting them and choosing his new family over them. So messed up. Not the bad guy. You tried to keep her out of it. Your son questioned you and their stepmother's love. You didn't blame her, you told them to ask her. It was her decision, she should explain it. Tell the Queen of Bitter to learn the meaning of the word co-parenting. She might also want to learn about what an opportunity this is for the kids. I'm going on a road trip with my siblings and some family friends. It's something we like to do every few years, as we used to do road trips a lot together growing up. It's been an unspoken rule that the trip is just the 6 of us and no spouses are invited. But Julian's fiancé wants to come and everybody else said it was fine. I vetoed it because I don't like her and I would rather walk on broken glass barefoot than be stuck on a road trip with her. The reason I don't like her is because she exposed the fact that I had sex with Julian and a terminated pregnancy to my family, which weren't things I wanted them to know. She did apologize, but I still dislike her. Julian and my brother think I'm being unfair and they're both pressuring me to let her come. There have been a lot of arguments over it because she doesn't want Julian to go without her, but I'm still refusing to agree to let her come. Am I the bad guy? You see what is going on here, right? The fiancé doesn't want you on a road trip with Julian without her being there, to keep an eye on you both. You need to understand that things are going to change as you all get older. What was once a road trip for 6 might morph into 12 as you all get spouses. And later, even more when you have kids. If you want to maintain relationships with them all, everyone is going to need to adapt. So, not the bad guy for wanting to exclude the fiancé because you savor the time with just the 6 of you. But you are likely destroying your relationship with Julian in the process. So you might want to rethink things and be the bigger person. While your first point could very well be true, it's not a fair assumption to make. It's possible the fiancé simply wants to be with her fiancé. Especially if she's fond of this friend group and or likes to travel too, with nothing more to it. OP needs to give more context to this whole intimacy/termination reveal. Was the fiancé jealous or vindictive? Was it an accident? We also need more context on the nature of her continued friendship with someone she has a relatively intense history with. You don't just shrug off intimacy, pregnancy, and termination combined. How long ago was this? Edit to add, OP has every right to be angry over her spilling the beans though. Intentional or accidental? I'd be livid and I understand the disdain. I brought what I set up to try to stay objective in how we view the fiancé. We can't assume she's a conniving, insecure control freak. They sound like Americans. Could be wrong. Regardless, there is a stigma against termination in many Western countries. So, she didn't lightly bring up the topic as casual brunch convo. There is always a level of maliciousness in revealing someone's pregnancy termination to their parents. I kinda see it as everyone sucks here. The fiancé sucks for spilling a bombshell of a secret that was not her secret to tell. Like, who does that? Especially since your family is not technically hers or Julian's family. Everyone else sucks for trying to force you to go on vacation with someone you don't get along with. And you have a very valid reason to dislike her. However, you also kinda suck on insisting the trip still occur without her, even knowing your history with Julian. She also has very good reasons to feel uncomfortable with him going on vacation with his ex-girlfriend that he almost had a child with. It's just very odd to me that you expect nothing about your relationship with Julian to have changed. You are no longer just childhood friends, you are his ex that, again, he almost had a child with. I don't think it's unreasonable that future partners, on both his end and yours, would be apprehensive about being banned from a vacation that the two of you are going on together. It'd be one thing if the partner was invited but declined to come. However, to be outright banned. Can you see how it might seem fishy from her point of view?